For decades, she was Hollywood royalty. Strong, fearless, iconic. But behind that unmistakable voice and steely gaze, Katharine Hepburn carried a truth the world wasn't ready to hear. And now, confidential letters, testimonies from close friends, and secret diaries have emerged, pointing to a side of her life no one ever expected. Comment 1. If you've always admired Hepburn's independence, or 0 if this is your first time hearing her name, because what we're about to reveal may change how you see her forever. The truth exposed. The name Katharine Hepburn evokes images of fierce roles, defiant interviews, and a record-breaking 4 Academy Awards. She was the ultimate symbol of a woman who lived life on her own terms. She challenged every Hollywood norm, refusing makeup-wearing trousers before it was acceptable and declining to play the obedient female lead studios preferred. Her public love story with Spencer Tracy became legendary. But even that was cloaked in mystery. They were never married. They were rarely seen in public together. And when Tracy passed away in 1967, Hepburn didn't even attend his funeral. Why, many have speculated, but few knew the truth. Let's dive deeper to explore the truth behind. Katharine Hepburn was born Katharine Houghton Hepburn on May 12, 1907, in Hartford, Connecticut, to a progressive and intellectually active family. Her father, Dr. Thomas Hepburn, was a well-known urologist who promoted public health and venereal disease awareness. Her mother, Katharine Martha Houghton Hepburn, was a suffragette and played a key role in the women's rights movement. Raised in such a progressive environment shaped Hepburn's feeling of independence and social duty. Encouraged to think for herself and question old standards, she acquired a strong will and a firm conviction in individual liberty attributes that would become hallmarks of both her public and private life. After graduating from Bryn Mawr College with a degree in history and philosophy in 1928, she pursued an acting career. Her first attempts into theater were marked by both passion and hardship. She was dismissed from multiple gigs for being too vocal or too unusual, but she refused to back down. Her distinctive voice, angular beauty, and athletic presence were in sharp contrast to the modest and traditional actresses of her era. However, these characteristics would quickly become her most valuable assets. Breakthrough role. The character that Katharine Hepburn played in the film A Bill of Divorcement, which she starred in with John Barrymore, established her as a leading actress. She was thrust into the spotlight as a result of her performance, which was praised by both the public and the reviewers. Over the course of the subsequent few years, she appeared in a number of films that went on to become important, including Morning Glory 1933, for which she was awarded her first Academy Award, Little Women 1933, and Alice Adams 1935. Her popularity fluctuated throughout her career, and in the late 1930s, following a succession of financial failures, she was even referred to as box office poison. This was despite the fact that she had initial success. Hepburn, on the other hand, did not withdraw from the Hollywood scene but rather took charge of her career in a manner that was both daring and unusual. By purchasing the film rights to the play The Philadelphia Story in 1940, and selling them to MGM on the condition that she would play the main part, she was able to assist in the orchestration of her own return. She was able to restore herself as a bankable celebrity and demonstrate her talent in nuanced humor, thanks to the picture, which was a huge success and marked a turning point in her career. In addition, it emphasized her talent for portraying women who were intellectual humorists and defied standard gender boundaries. This was a niche that she would eventually master and return to throughout her performing career. A tribute to Hepburn's exceptional breadth and courageous choices, her filmography is a monument to her filmography. In the same way that she was captivating in comedies like Bringing Up Baby, 1938, and The Philadelphia Story, 1940, she was also captivating in tragedies like The African Queen, 1951, Suddenly Last Summer, 1959, and Long Day's Journey into Night, 1962. Her work with Spencer Tracy, which took place both on and off screen, resulted in the production of 9 pictures that people will never forget, as well as one of the most legendary romantic pairings in the history of film. Despite the fact that their connection remained clandestine and complicated, Tracy was married and never divorced. It was indisputably profound and durable, and it lasted for a total of 26 years until his passing in 1967. In the latter half of her career, Hepburn was able to accomplish some of the most significant creative achievements of her career. As a result of her work in the films Guess Who's Coming to Dinner 1967, The Lion in Winter 1968, and On Golden Pond 1981, she was awarded 3 further Academy Awards. Her continuous relevance and authoritative presence, as well as her growing emotional resonance as an actress, were all proved by each character she played. At the time of her last movie performance, which took place in 1994 in the film Love Affair, she had already established herself as a famous living figure. Marriage troubles. Katharine Hepburn's lone marriage was to Ludlow Ogden Smith, a rich Philadelphia socialite and businessman with old money ties and a refined background. This contrasted strongly with the fiercely independent and unorthodox attitude that would define Hepburn's whole life and career. Ludlow Ogden Smith was the only person Katharine Hepburn ever married. While she was a student at Bryn Mawr College, a prestigious women's liberal arts university that is well known for its tough academic standards and progressive environment, the two individuals came into contact with one another. Ludlow, who was attractive, polished, and steady, gave a type of traditional stability that may have temporarily appealed to Hepburn. At the time, Hepburn was still in the process of discovering who she was as a woman and as a performer. They were married on December 12, 1928, when Katharine Hepburn was just 21 years old and still unclear about the course of her future, and Ludlow was 29 years old and already well established in the social and commercial circles of the East Coast elite. Their relationship was relatively quick, and they tied the knot on that day. On the other hand, Hepburn almost immediately displayed indications of restlessness within the confines of her marital life. Even at an early stage, she showed a reluctance to accept the traditional responsibilities that are expected of a wife in society that is considered to be upper class. She insisted that Ludlow officially alter his name to S. Ogden Ludlow, reversing his first and surname name so that she would not become known as Kate Smith, a name that she believed to be very boring and uninteresting. This is a striking illustration of her difficulty with traditional notions of gender and identity. This eccentric yet revealing gesture was a reflection of her great desire to distinguish herself from the mundane and carve out an identity that was completely her own, even in something as formal and important as a marriage. In spite of the fact that they had initially promised to be together, Hepburn never really committed to a life of marriage. Her profound aspirations and her ever-increasing preoccupation with a career in the theater and the film industry quickly took precedence over the harmony in her home. It was more than just a career for her to be an actress. Being a wife was a more ordinary responsibility, but it was a calling, a burning passion that overshadowed those responsibilities. Furthermore, her mentality was often in conflict with Smith's calm and quiet manner. Her personality was aggressive, feisty, and stubborn. Despite the fact that he was polite and well-mannered, Hepburn, who was known for her impetuous temperament and intense emotional state, felt his staid demeanor to be both uninteresting and incompatible with her free-spirited way of life. The fact that Hepburn had a sexual relationship with her agent Leland Hayward, who was a significant figure in the entertainment world, made the situation much more complicated. It was clear that she had become emotionally distant from her husband as a result of their affair, which occurred during the latter years of her marriage. During a pivotal period in Hepburn's early career, Hayward, who was also married at the time, not only offered Hepburn loving company, but also offered her professional direction and support. In addition to love ambition was the driving force behind their partnership. The decision that she made in 1932 to go to Hollywood, which was a career-defining decision that marked her full departure with traditional expectations, was the ultimate blow that she dealt to her marriage. She and Smith were increasingly emotionally and physically distant from one another to the point that it became difficult for them to reconcile. Divorce. In the Mexican state of Yucatan, which was known at the time for giving divorces in a rapid and discreet manner, Hepburn filed for divorce on April 30, 1934. On May 8, 1934, the marriage was formally dissolved without any explanation. The constant support that Ludlow offered to Hepburn during her difficult years as a young actor was something that she would always be thankful for despite the emotional distance that existed between them and the issues that arose from her affair. It was after that she revealed in her memoirs with a stunning honesty that she had taken advantage of his kindness. She said that she was a disgusting pig for manipulating the profound passion that he had for her. Remarkably, their relationship continued to exist in the form of friendship even after the dissolution of their marriage. They continued to communicate with one another until Smith's passing in 1979, which is a witness to the extraordinary tie that they shared. Hepburn's love affair with Leland Hayward became more intense after she moved to California in order to devote her whole attention to pursuing a career in entertainment. In spite of the fact that they were both still legally married at the time that the relationship started, it swiftly developed into an emotionally intense one. Following the conclusion of the divorce proceedings, Hayward made a proposal to Hepburn, but she declined his proposal. Her decision to decline reflected her deeply held conviction in the autonomy of the individual, as well as her cynicism regarding the institution of marriage following her initial encounter with it. Later on, she provided an explanation for her decision with the same frankness that she is known for stating, "I like the idea of being my own person." The brevity of this remark conveyed a great deal about her lifetime commitment to autonomy and her refusal to allow love connections to determine the course of her existence. The romance with Hayward continued for 4 years, during which time there were times of emotional intensity as well as the strain that is typically associated with the conflict between love and profession. In 1936, when Hepburn was on the road with the stage version of Jane Eyre, she began a fresh and high-profile connection with the mysterious and extremely rich businessman Howard Hughes. As a well-known aviator, inventor, and film producer, Hughes was known for his eccentricity, intellect, and reclusiveness. These characteristics both fascinated and exasperated Hepburn. Hughes was also known for his cinematic productions. 1 year before their mutual friend and fellow actor Cary Grant had taken the initiative to introduce them to one another. Furthermore, from the very beginning, their relationship garnered a great deal of attention. Hepburn was the object of Hughes's intense romantic interest, and it is said that he attempted to marry her. Their relationship became a popular topic of discussion in fan publications and gossip columns, which constantly speculated about the possibility of an engagement between the two of them. On the other hand, Hepburn, much like Hayward, was adamant about not committing herself to any particular guy, particularly while her career was in risk. Box office poison. Hepburn's popularity at the box office had dropped by the middle of the 1930s, despite the fact that she had received early critical recognition. However, the parts that she chose to play did not always endear her to moviegoers, and her performances were often seen to be too intellectual or distant for the attention of the general public. Following the labeling of Hepburn as a box office poison by the Independent Theater Owners of America in 1938, which was a detrimental categorization that negatively impacted her marketability, Hepburn retreated from the Hollywood industry in order to contemplate and reorganize her mind. During this time period, her primary emphasis was on recovering her waning celebrity, and the pursuit of this goal left little opportunity for marriage or even for sustaining a personal connection. In the end, Hepburn and Hughes went their own ways since their relationship had deteriorated due to the strain of her concerns for her profession and Hughes's steadily increasing odds. Despite the fact that they continued to get along well, they simply did not have it in them to form a long-term commitment because their personalities and priorities were drastically different. Because it occurred at a time when she was at a low moment in her work life, their split was less of a spectacular breakup and more of a gradual drifting away. In spite of this, the relationship stands out as a pivotal moment in Hepburn's personal life. There was yet another incident in which her commitment to her job triumphed over her desire to make a love commitment. Katharine Hepburn was one of the few names that shone brighter than others during the golden age of Hollywood. Hepburn left behind a legacy that is unlike any other thanks to her razor-sharp wit, fiercely independent demeanor, and record-setting 4 Academy Awards for Best Actress. A lady whose private life was shrouded in mystery, particularly with regard to love, was hiding behind the powerful and self-assured screen presence that she presented when she was on television. While her decades-long romance with Spencer Tracy became the stuff of Hollywood folklore, Biographers and historians have long whispered about the relationships she never addressed, the ones she supposedly enjoyed with other women. Some of these connections are said to have been sexually intimate. Rumors with several notable actresses, alleged romantic relationships between Hepburn and a number of well-known actresses have been the subject of speculation over the course of several decades. Some biographers and Hollywood insiders have asserted that Audrey Hepburn once compiled a personal list of 7 women whom she had secretly dated, and later came to resent for reasons ranging from betrayal to heartbreak. Despite the fact that she never publicly acknowledged these relationships, and despite the fact that there is no evidence that can definitively confirm them, these claims have been made. Not only did these women share a period with Hepburn, but they also shared a complicated emotional environment in which love secrecy and ambition intersected. All of these women were acclaimed actors in their own way. Tallulah Bankhead is the first. Tallulah Bankhead was a daring actress who was known for her husky voice, audacious humor, and unrepentant hedonism. She demonstrated the same fearlessness off-screen as she did on film. The beginning of her flirtations with Hepburn is said to have occurred at a high school party in the late 1930s, according to some biographers. It was believed that Hepburn was captivated by Bankhead's caustic tongue and dramatic flair. Bankhead was openly bisexual in private circles. The purported affair between the two of them was intense but unstable, with Bankhead's volatility coming into conflict with Hepburn's restrained manner. At some point in the future, Hepburn referred to her as an emotional hurricane I never should have stepped into. This was due to the fact that the relationship apparently came to an end in profound silence. The second would be Barbara Stanwyck, another of Hollywood's fiercely independent women. Barbara Stanwyck was a performer who was known for her steely drive and strong performances. In the 1940s, rumors began to circulate that Stanwyck and Hepburn were involved in a covert affair. These rumors were whispered among studio insiders and hinted to in various classified Hollywood gossip magazines. According to reports, the two ladies had a brief but passionate relationship with one another amid a period of emotional turmoil in both of their lives. It is believed that Hepburn subsequently referred to Stanwyck as a mirror of myself that I couldn't bear to keep looking into, which is a reference to the amount of emotional weight that the affair carried. Greta Garbo comes in third. Greta Garbo, a mysterious Swedish actress, is credited with making the famous statement, "I want to be alone." But there were rumors that Hepburn had broken through that emotional shell, even if it was just for a short period of time. Both Hepburn and Garbo were photographed attending secret retreats together in upstate New York during the late 1930s. Garbo even invited Hepburn to her isolated Manhattan apartment on many occasions. All of these events took place in the late 1930s. Their relationship was characterized by a quiet intensity and emotional remoteness, according to the accounts that have been provided in speculative biographies. Garbo's aloofness is said to have caused Hepburn to get irritated, and she subsequently made the observation that she never let anyone to genuinely know her, even myself. Number 4. Joan Crawford. In addition to being gorgeous, determined, and unabashedly ambitious, Joan Crawford was a force of nature by every measure. According to a Hollywood mythology, Hepburn and Crawford had a difficult relationship that included both competition and affection at various points in their relationship. Should the affair have taken place, it was a short affair that was fraught with anxiety. Speculative stories suggest that Hepburn felt Crawford's excessive desire for fame to be oppressive. Despite the fact that Crawford allegedly accused Hepburn of being emotionally unavailable as well. Despite the fact that she played powerful women, Hepburn is claimed to have stated that she was unable to deal with a strong woman in real life. Number 5. Mercedes d'Acosta. Mercedes d'Acosta, a well-known poet and dramatist, is the only woman on this list who has publicly voiced her affection for other women. Among the women with whom d'Acosta had recorded relationships were Marlene Dietrich and Greta Garbo. Additionally, it is reported that she had a brief relationship with Audrey Hepburn, despite the fact that Hepburn herself never officially admitted the existence of a brief connection. Letters and diaries provide evidence of it. The possibility exists that Hepburn withdrew herself from d'Acosta out of fear of being exposed, particularly in light of the fact that d'Acosta is known for his indiscretion. Hepburn is said to have told a friend that she was a great writer, but she was not someone I could trust with my quiet. Number 6. Judy Holliday. The unexpected inclusion of Judy Holliday to Hepburn's inner circle was a result of her bright personality, effervescent personality, and intellectual brilliance. Reportedly, their relationship flourished throughout their tenure at Columbia Pictures when they developed a mutual regard for one another that eventually transformed into devotion. Holliday, who was trying to cope with the many demands associated with celebrity and identity, relied on Hepburn for assistance. Holliday's worries of job implications quickly terminated things between them, according to biographers who claim that their relationship became amorous for a brief period of time. She chose the stage above the truth, and although I can't condemn her for that, I also couldn't forgive her for it. Hepburn apparently felt betrayed, and she subsequently confided in me that she had made that choice. Number 7. Dorothy Arzner. Although Dorothy Arzner was not an actor, she was the sole female director working in the studio system of Hollywood throughout the 1930s and 1940s. Additionally, she was a lesbian who was widely known in both public and private circles. She was recognized to be both a mentor and a silent revolutionary, and she directed several of Hepburn's contemporaries. She was also noted for her work. A significant amount of speculation continues to surround the rumors that Arzner and Hepburn had a very intimate and possibly love relationship. However, there are cinema historians who believe that Hepburn's relationship with Arzner was one of her early emotional entanglements. Arzner's refusal to move beyond friendship in public, which caused a gap between the two of them, is said to have been a source of resentment for Hepburn. Hepburn is supposed to have claimed that she taught her how to dominate a scene, but she never taught her how to claim a heart. No fear of death. When Katharine Hepburn was in her later years, she maintained a remarkably philosophical and peaceful attitude about the certainty of death. During an interview that took place when she was in her 80s, she famously observed, "I have no fear of death. It must be wonderful like a long sleep." She was reflecting on her own mortality at the time. This peaceful and reflective acceptance of death was a reflection of the courage and independence that she had displayed throughout her whole life and at every stage of her profession. For a long time, Hepburn had been recognized not just for her sharp wit and ability on film, but also for her unyielding independence and inner tenacity. These attributes carried over into her comments on the end of her life. Instead of expressing fear or terror, she expressed her excitement at the concept of perpetual rest, which suggested a peace with the cycle of life that only a select few people are able to achieve in such a public and complete manner. Hepburn's health, on the other hand, began a steady and noticeable deterioration not long after her final movie appearance, which was in the television film Love Affair, which was released in 1994. The condition of weariness, which frequently indicated deeper underlying fragility, was the reason she was sent to the hospital in March of 1993. This was especially true for someone of old age. In spite of the fact that she had been leading an active lifestyle for a considerable amount of time and maintaining her independence well into her 80s, this experience was one of the first notable signals that her formerly unlimited vitality was beginning to diminish. Despite this, she maintained her dignified demeanor as she continued to maintain her customary attitude of confidentiality regarding her health and her recuperation. Physical decline. In the winter of 1996, Hepburn was brought to the hospital once more, this time for a bout of pneumonia, which is a severe sickness that frequently poses a threat to the patient's life. She had a significant decline in strength as a result of the disease, which also started to undermine her sturdy constitution, which had allowed her to successfully complete a large number of physically demanding jobs during her younger years. This specific incident was not an exception to the rule that pneumonia, particularly in elderly persons, can have repercussions that endure for a long time. Her recuperation was sluggish, and she gradually withdrew from public life, spending more and more time in the company of her close family and the comforts of her Connecticut home. Hepburn's physical degeneration had become noticeably more severe by the year 1997. Reports suggested that she had become quite fragile to the point that she was speaking very little and had nearly totally lost her appetite. She had also fully lost her appetite. Those who were closest to her were concerned that she could be on the verge of passing away since she seemed to be emotionally and physically isolating herself from the world around her. In spite of this, Hepburn clung to life with a quiet determination, and she lived for a longer period of time than many people anticipated she would. A demonstration of the same determination that had made it possible for her to persevere through decades of difficulties in Hollywood and beyond. It was during these later years that Hepburn began to exhibit indicators of cognitive deterioration from the beginning. Memory, communication, and thinking abilities are all affected by dementia, which is a disorder that was thought to be affecting her. It was considered that she may have been exhibiting signs of dementia. In spite of the fact that she had always taken great pleasure in her mental acuity and eloquence, the advancement of the disease, which is particularly prevalent among the elderly, progressively diminished her capacity to interact with the world in the same manner that she had in the past. Despite this, her essence remained identifiable to those who had known her best. She was a lady of tremendous character and quiet dignity, and she was confronting the end of her life in the same manner that she had lived it on her own terms. By the year 2000, Hepburn had virtually disappeared from the perception of the general people. She was characterized by her niece as a private person, which highlighted a change that had been taking place for a considerable amount of time. Within the boundaries of her family home in Fenwick, Connecticut, the lady who had once enthralled audiences with her ferocious presence and brilliant mind now lived in peaceful seclusion, safe from the gaze of the general public. Her loved ones and friends continued to pay her regular visits, and despite the fact that her world had shrunk, she continued to be surrounded by love and recognition. As a result of her precarious condition, she was sent to the hospital once more in July of 2001. This time, she was admitted for a relapse of pneumonia, which was followed by an infection of the urinary system. Despite the fact that she had returned home, it was evident that her body was gradually and slowly succumbing to the unrelenting progress of age and sickness. Despite this, Hepburn never appeared to waver in her stoicism. The dual illnesses further depleted her stamina. She continued to oppose intrusive medical treatments and interventions, opting instead to pursue a course of action that would allow her to regain her dignity and comfort. The final chapter. When an aggressive tumor was found in Hepburn's neck in May of 2003, the beginning of the final chapter of her life began in earnest. After giving it a lot of thought and getting her family's approval, it was decided that she would not undergo any kind of medical or surgical intervention. At the age of 96, with her body having been weakened by years of disease and her quality of life having decreased, it was concluded that palliative care would be the most humane course of action to take. During her final weeks, Hepburn resided in the same treasured house that she had spent the most of her life in. This property was located in Fenwick, which is situated on the scenic shores of Long Island Sound. Katharine Hepburn, who was 96 years old at the time of her tranquil death on June 29, 2003, died away. According to the official investigation, the cause of death was a heart arrest. The consolation of knowing that she had lived her life precisely as she had wanted it, boldly, unabashedly, and with a passionate dedication to personal authenticity, was with her when she passed away. She died surrounded by the familiarity of home. The loss of this remarkable figure brought an unprecedented period in American cinema and culture to a close. Hepburn, in keeping with her personality, had made it clear that she did not want any kind of memorial ceremony to be performed in her honor, especially one that was open to the public. To the extent that many of her contemporaries had pursued celebrity, she had never done so. Furthermore, even after she passed away, she did not deviate from her longtime goal of retaining control over her reputation and impact on the world. In Hartford, Connecticut, she was laid to rest in Cedar Hill Cemetery, which is not too far from the place where she had spent her childhood and where she had kept strong personal and familial ties. Because of her audacity, intelligence, and unyielding spirit, her burial continues to serve as a peaceful memorial to a lady who revolutionized the cinema industry and served as a source of inspiration for countless generations. Whether these relationships were romantic, spiritual, or simply beyond labels, one thing is clear. Katharine Hepburn refused to be defined by Hollywood's expectations or by anyone's. She lived boldly, spoke fiercely, and loved, in her own extraordinary way. What do you think? Should Hollywood stars of that era have felt safe being themselves? Or was secrecy the only path to survival back then? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep their stories and their courage alive. If you were moved by this story, please like this video. And don't forget to subscribe to Expedition Rewind channel for more emotional, untold stories from Hollywood's golden age. She gave us strength on screen, but her greatest strength may have been the life she lived away from it.